And just like in the recent times, I feel like the word feminist or like feminism has such a negative connotation suddenly. Like it used to be a more positive word, and now even among girls, like there's like this phenomenon of like internalized misogyny where like even among girls, like calling themselves a feminist or like something has such a bad connotations. Like what are your thoughts on that? Like have you seen that around yourself, and like
Oh,
why
yeah.
did this happen? How did we get here?
Exactly. Well, I want to address like two parts of what you said, because
Mhm.
first, it's like men are kind of like frustrated over feminism, because I think what they're saying is that like men are being neglected, and I think that is
Mhm.
a fair argument. I want to take a few seconds to talk about that, right? Like men aren't graduating college as much as women. This is a problem. Like we
Mhm.
want men to also graduate college. Like men also have higher rates of suicide than women. This is a problem. Men are struggling in society. But I think what men get confused about is that like women aren't to blame for these problems. Men aren't to blame for these problems. Patriarchy is to blame for these problems.
Mhm.
Like the fact that like men have so much financial pressure on them that they have to like provide for this family, and it becomes so much that they decide to like or feel the need, or like feel like there's no other option out than committing suicide. That's a problem, and that's a problem because of patriarchy. If men can get self-fulfillment as like home bearers or like raising children, and can share the load of financial responsibilities with their partners, whoever that partner is, then that helps them. So like feminism is trying to help men as well, and I think men get confused about that, because in fairness, the message is kind of confusing, because it's like
Mhm.
feminism sounds like female, and so therefore are they only fighting for females? It's like, no, that's not at all what we're fighting for. We're fighting for everybody, but supporting women will support you as well, and so we're going to try
Mhm.
and support women as much as possible right now. But you're right, people are very offended by the word feminism all the time. We see this like that on social media, and then we also see like a personal example. I started a feminist book club with some friends, and they're all married to these like men, and these men support their wives, but we called it the feminist book club, and the husbands were kind of offended by that name. And it's like, you're married to someone who's a feminist. You yourself are actually probably a feminist. You support and believe that women should be making decisions and should be full participants in the workforce. That's what feminism is that women should just be able to have the same spaces and be in the same spaces as men. All people should be able to. But yet they were offended by the word, because like the word has such like a negative connotation to it.
Mhm.
In fairness, the history of feminism is kind of like it's not a perfect history. Just like any movement has not a perfect history, and there's bad actors. And I think like with media, we just hyper focus on the bad actors sometimes, instead of
Mhm.
like the holistic argument or the holistic viewpoint that it's like, no, this is supposed to lift everyone up. We're not trying to bring women up to put men down. We're trying to lift everyone up.
Yeah, and I just feel like historically women have been on a lower playing field. So like it's
Oh
about
yeah.
leveling the playing field and not like creating that inequality all over again. I love Emma Watson's quote that if you believe in equality, I'm sorry to tell you you're a feminist.
Right.
But honestly, if somebody comes up to me now and say I'm gonna call myself an egalitarianist or something, I'm like, okay, call yourself that. Like as long as
Yes.
like you're not being mean to me or like letting me have my space, whatever you want to call yourself, like. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Go Girl podcast. For more such inspiring conversations, do not forget to subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram at Japnit Ahuja. Until next time, keep being unstoppable. You go, girl.